at the SSA Men's 50 and Over National Championship. This is the first game. Old School Ballers went clean, trying to become the first team to three-peat in the SSA Men's 50 and Over division. They will be playing the highlights. This is a rematch of a game we broadcast earlier today at 10 a.m. Old School won by 10. Highlights battled their way all the way back through the losers bracket. They need to win twice. So Teddy Lowry going to be leading off here for the Old School Ballers. Just underway. We're on the third base side due to sun conditions. So Teddy Lowry going to try to get this championship run for the Old School Ballers starting. So you see the young man, Wes Shannon, coaching third base, Travis Smith at first.
It's kind of up and down, so.
So we're having a little fun here as we're underway. And here's Mike Sinisa's first pitch. And there's a soft line drive to Greg Paulson at third. Handles it easily for out number one. That's how the game's going to start. Thanks, Wes. So, one up, one down here. And Gino Grande's walking over there with his lineup card, but he's supposed to be giving me one. I don't know what he did with the other copy, but we'll sort that out at the half inning. So here's Gabe Bridges. Gabe's turned the clock back this weekend. He's pounding the ball. And there he hits a hard ball up the middle. Tasso gets to it. And and that's a big mistake there by Travis Smith. That ball would have bounced over the fence, and he reacted and put his hand up. Some of the Old School Baller guys look like they're giving him the business over there.
What you doing, Coach?
So they do take the courtesy runner, and that ball, that would have put Gabe Bridges on second. Here's 2-8, Renard Johnson. So that's a little bit unusual there, to say the least. So here's Renard, a little soft cut, and that's going to drop. Teddy Lowry will get to third, and they'll throw it in. So little bobble there off of the carpet.
I know, I just want to get loose. I don't want to.
And that's going to bring up Derek Williams, Skeet. So Old School coming out right away. A couple of games we broadcast this weekend with them. They've been the home team. Now here they're the visitors, trying to take control of the game right off the bat.
Double. Come here, I need you here.
So one out, runners on the corners here.
Nice pitch.
Skeet didn't like that strike call. Again, just underway. Old School's pretty much not really been challenged that hard most of the tournament. And there's a high fly ball. And the left fielder jumps up and makes the catch. That will score one run, but no tag at first. So the outfielder left his feet as he leaped into the air to make the catch, was tumbling around. Inexplicably, no tag at first. Here comes Donnie Chapman, Tank. So 1-0 here, Old School Ballers. Base running's been a little off here in this top of the first. And Tank drills one off of Paulson. And here he's going to try to get to third, and he'll make it. The throw comes into second. So runners on the corner as Donnie Chapman hit a vicious line drive. Paulson's a big, tall man. He did get a hand on it. So here's Walter Rogers, Pito. 1-0 here. Takes that pitch a little short. there's a little cut over Tasso. Second run scores. Chapman will stop at second. So the Ballers right now, 2-0. Still only one out here. And Trevan Thomas coming up. A little shift since the last time we saw the Ballers. As they've moved Teddy Lowry to right according to the lineup card, and Thomas will be playing left in this ball game.
Hey, 2 out!
And there's a little roller to the shortstop. He'll go to short way for the fielder's choice. But at the end of one half inning, 2-0 Ballers as they're chasing their three-peat. So we'll try to grab a copy of the lineup card.
Let's go.
Hell of a play. Hell of a catch.
Chicken. Grab me that lineup card. Off the score, yeah. Thanks. So we have the lineup card for, excuse me, a lot of dust out here today. So we do have the lineup card now for the highlights. It'll be Chicken, Jeff, and Sean leading off. So, of course, highlights had to play back-to-back. So sometimes trying to get the lineup card, a little bit of a slower process. So here's Joe Nixon, Chicken, leading off here. Highlights in an early 2-0 hole.
Let's go, Chick.
Old school Ballers have not been behind very much in this event. And there's Chicken, and climbing the ladder, Skeet. Looked like it was going to be a base hit, but they had him positioned beautifully as they were shifted over to the left side of the infield. So here comes Jeff with Sean Burke on deck. And Jeff hits a little off the end of the bat, and that's going to drop for a base hit. So first base runner, thank you, Jer. So first base runner for the highlights brings up Sean Burke. And it's good to see Sean's feeling much better. I talked to him between games earlier after he had that little bit of a play at first base in that 10 o'clock game. Got hit right on the top of the head. And Sean hits a little ground ball, Skeet, over to Danny Edwards. And they get the fielder's choice, but no double play. Sorry, I'm putting this lineup card on here.
Come on, Tom.
So here comes Tony. Runner on first now. 2 outs. And the highlights have had to play a few games in the warm weather. Edwards over to Skeet. They go to short way. And they get the fielder's choice. So at the end of one complete, Old School Ballers up 2, chasing that three-peat. So you can see we got long shadows. We talk all the time with the drag step that if you line that shadow up as a pitcher, you can get a little bit of an edge. If you're throwing the ball to first, you got to be careful depending on the angle that you're throwing it from, because the sun can be an issue for the first baseman. So we head to the top of the second. And Ron Mack is going to lead off, followed by Danny Edwards and Freddie Pee Wee Spicin. Had a nice conversation with Ron when they were waiting to play one of their games. Son just graduated from Jackson State, I believe, with his degree in business, still looking for a job. So if anybody's got a job and wants to take a chance on a youngster, reach out to us. We'll put you in touch. And There's a little high pop-up. That's trouble, and it's going to drop in for a base hit. Mack has been red hot, and that's what happens when you're on fire. You miss hit the ball, and you still get a little love.
Hey, Jeff.
So here's Danny Edwards,
Just in the middle of the order.
former Solution guy. I always like to mention that. I know somewhere Jerry Brown's watching, and he tries to go big to the gap. Center fielder cruised over and made the catch. And that'll bring up Pee Wee now. Of course, Pee Wee played a little bit with Steel Gold and Team 23, Rack City, I believe he played some ball with them. And Pee Wee has hit some bombs in this tournament. Kind of like a Wes Shannon. We got a little chuckle out of Wes. And that pitch a little short. So if you're the highlights, you want to try to maintain contact. And there's a sky-high pop-up, long run, and it is fouled by about a foot. That would have been trouble. You hear Gary Paulson saying throw the ball low. And that's always a concern. Jerry Brown checking in, the great 48. So Pee Wee had 2 strikes. That'll go as a strikeout. And here's Tommy Baker. And he throws it to right center. Courtesy runner's going to score. Baker's going to end up with at least 3. And they're going to hold him. So Old School tacks on their 3rd run of the ball game. Still nobody out now. Runner on 3rd. They're poised to pick up at least 1 more this inning. And they have been all business all weekend. And Teddy swings and he hits a foul ball there. So Old School started a little slow this morning. Didn't really get it going until about the 4th inning in that first game against the Highlights. And then the back end of that game, they got it into gear, and they haven't stopped since. So here's the reset. Takes that pitch a little inside. And there he hits a line drive, caught for the 3rd out by the shortstop. He jumped the play, but they do tack on a run. We head to the bottom of the 2nd, 3-0. And it's always interesting because when you watch these games, Highlights have been scoring some runs. They just got here in their get-back game, if you will. And they won that game 15-4, I believe it was. So it just amazes me that sometimes you play a little different team and all of a sudden you don't free swing. And as a result of that, you tighten up a little bit. So this is going to be Timmy Bulger, then Vince and Jeff coming up here. And if you're the Highlights, you really need to, even though it's early and it's only 3-0, you need to put something up. And there's a little roller. Pee Wee up with the throw. Ronnie Mack the catch just above the carpet for out number 1. And it was definitely warm during the day here. We haven't had much, if any, clouds in the sky. So the sun's been beating down on the teams, especially through the losers bracket. And there's a base hit. Takes the turn. He's going to try it. Center fielder had an issue, and he'll make it. So Vince, stroked it out toward right center a little bit. Center fielder had a little bit of an issue, but he did get it in. And here's Jeff with Gary on deck. So 1 out double puts a runner in scoring position. 2 for 1 here. Chance to break the seal and get on the board. And there's a stroke. Ronnie got a hand on it. Little sinking line drive. That ball was close to going through that fence opening, but it stayed in play. Now runners on the corners for Gary Paulson.
You're on your own.
And it's interesting. They got the short center on the right field side. Gary's been going opposite field all weekend, and there's a little fly ball. There's the tag, and throw it down to make sure the pitcher, cutoff man, could see it. No advancement, but the highlights do break the seal. They get on the board 3-1. Brings up Mike Sinise now with 2 outs here, runner on first. And Mike swings, line drive, handled by Danny Edwards. And that'll do it, but they get on the board. We head to the top of the third, 3-1 Ballers. Again, we are live from Melrose Park. This is Bulger Park out here, beautiful facility. I would like to thank Melrose Park, should say the Veterans Park District, for their hospitality this weekend, and Richie Rico for the hard work he put in to help make this a great tournament. And they're always bending over backwards to help us when we run one of our several tournaments out here. And of course, the live stream is powered by Gold Rush Gaming. If you're going to put video gaming in your establishment, go with the gold standard. Go with Gold Rush Gaming. Email them at inquiries at goldrushgaming.com. Tell them you saw it on the stream. And please gamble responsibly. So it's going to be 2, 3, 4 here. Gabe Bridges, Renard Johnson, and Derek Williams, also known as Skeet. And Gabe slashes it through the hole between the short center and the second baseman. And Gabe has been absolutely locked in. So it'll be interesting to see if the Ballers do in fact repeat, to see who might get the MVP. I know Ron Mack has had a great tournament, so has Gabe. But when you're running through a tournament like they have, probably got a lot of candidates. And Renard tries to go deep, but that's way out of play. So Renard, we don't see him open up quite as much as that and try to drive the ball, but he did there. And sometimes those are what you call a message swing, when you want to kind of back the outfield up just to be able to get back to what you do. And Renard is one of those guys that pushes the envelope in terms of stepping up in the box. And there he slaps it up the middle and it gets through. So Tasso couldn't get there. He slapped it past the knees. And some of that might be fatigue. We saw Tasso get to a couple of those balls earlier in the day. And now Pee Wee will courtesy run. And that brings up Skeet. So the last couple of years, the Ballers have been dominating this tournament. I know, talking to Kelly Patton, they had a practice on Wednesday. And there's a rocket down the right field line, and that's fair. One run's going to score. Pee Wee going to jog to third. Another extra base hit for Skeet. So they tack up the 4th run. They get that run back that they gave up in the bottom of the 2nd. And it brings up Donnie Chapman. So Tank still hitting the ball hard. And there he unloads. High fly ball way over to left fielder, Donnie Chapman, with an absolute bomb. This is going to be a 3-run homer. And Old School Ballers opening up early. as they push it to a 7-1 lead here. And we'll see here. Looks like Gino Grande coming in here. And if you're the highlights, you might be starting to get a little of that bad juju from the first time they played. So we're back here. Walter Rogers, Pito coming up here. Nobody on now. So the baller, yeah, Donnie's been hitting some balls really hard in this tournament. When he first came up, he was all grip and rip. And now as he's gotten older, he's expanded his game a little bit, but still showing you he's got big power. Pito not even running down the line there. That'll be the first out of the inning. And that ball was airmailed. So here's Trevan Thomas, TT, stepping into the box here. We're in the top of the third, 7-1 already. And that pitch a little outside. Well, Amalia, we've been having some adventures the last 2 weeks. And there's a little ground ball. Paulson, long throw. Sean Burke for out number.
That's only 2, Sean.
That's 2 outs. He threw the ball into the dugout thinking it was 3. He's catching it from the old school bench. And they're all saying, doesn't the runner get 2 bases for that? Of course, nobody was hitting and running there. And here comes Ron Mack, and he throws another hit out there. He stays red hot. So Ronnie Mack having himself a weekend. Yeah, last week when we did the show, we had Wi-Fi issues. And then we updated Facebook a couple of days before the tournament. And that ended up screwing up all of my settings with the 2 third-party softwares that we use to bring you the video. And as a result of that, I had to delete all of my settings and etc. and had to go put it all together after that 10 a.m. game. So there's a little swing and a hit for Edwards. So Old School just continues to hit. And it's obvious that if you want to play with these guys, you got to hit with them. And here comes Pee Wee.
Hey, you good, Bink? You good?
And there's a high pop-up. 2 outs, right fielder, little basket catch. But they push out. They put a 4 spot on the board. 7-1. I will do that when I get the chance, Gene. So a little bit better. Don't have the glare I had earlier. And again, it was so hot. We just couldn't go. The big test will be when we close out the stream if Facebook just leaves it up there. And for some reason, it was only on the SSA page. A couple other pages, I think my personal page and the 16-inch softball chat page that we operate. Seemed like it worked there. It worked on Twitter and on our YouTube page, but for some reason, it wasn't leaving it on the Facebook page. So hopefully we're back in business now. And again, the issue wasn't when we were actually streaming, it was when we closed it. So bottom of the third. And Highlights got a little work here to do. There's a roller. Skeet picks it up, throws across in time for out number 1. So the leadoff man, Anthony, grounds out, brings up Mac, I believe, with Tasso on deck, and there's a line drive base hit. So the highlights put a runner on here in the bottom of the third inning. So we will have the trophy presentations after the game, along with the announcement of the MVP. So here's Tasso, top of the lineup, and Chicken on deck. So right now, when you're trailing, you need that bottom part of your lineup to chip in, and there's a walk. So that is going to put a couple of base runners on. Well, Amalia, anytime you want to cut a check for that, we'd be more than happy to do it. So there's a swing and a spinner, but it'll go foul. In a perfect world with a unlimited budget, we could do those things. And really, it's more of a software issue. You know, Forest Park, for whatever reason, doesn't have great Wi-Fi out there, for Verizon anyway. And there's a little slow roller. Tommy Baker will take care of it for out number 2. It does move the 2 base runners into scoring position for Jeff. And I think if you're the old school ballers here, you'd like to get out of this inning without seeing Sean Burke come up. Even though Sean topped the ball his last time up, he's been swinging pretty well today. And that pitch a little heavy. And there he calls it a strike, full count. Jeff thought he had a walk there. Now again, it's second and third, so the base runners will not be running on the pitch. Of course, they'll be running on the swing. And Jeff throws a line drive base hit. They're going to send Tasso, no throw. And the highlights put a pair up here as Jeff just guided a single between the third baseman and the shortstop. And they cut the lead to 7-4. 7-3, excuse me, 4-run lead. And that's going to bring up Sean Burke. So good piece of 2-out hitting there. They got the score wrong on the scoreboard. Should be 7-3. And Sean Burke, a little roller. Skeet can't get to it. Chicken is going to score. And Sean Burke now is going to turn it on and come to third as the outfield had a problem. So Sean Burke, a little lower through the infield. We told you guys a little bit earlier on Friday that the grass was a little dry and the ball might roll. That ball rolled deep into the right center field gap. Outfielders were having a little trouble picking it up. It brings up Tony. 7-4 ball game. And there's a high fly ball. 2 outs. And it gets dropped in center. Another run scores. As Pito got to it, and then he dropped it. 7-5 ball game. Again, the highlights need to win twice to win the national championship. And we saw Pito a little bit earlier in the tournament. Today in particular was having some trouble on fly balls. Kelly Patton going to come slow things down a little bit. If you're a co-ed 14-inch mush ball team, we do have that national championship tournament coming up at the end of this month. In 2 weeks, you might want to reach out to either Francisco Arenas or Pat Caputo if you want to enter, and we'll get you set up. And that'll be right here in Melrose Park. So here's Timmy Bulger now. Some shaky defense here, letting the highlights get back in, and he hits it hard down the line. That's going to drift foul. Gave it a good ride. Timmy really didn't get his hands extended there, but he did a good job of getting the barrel to the ball and hit it pretty good. Not much of a breeze, a little bit up top in the trees. Field level, can barely feel it. What wind there is feels like it's blowing from right to left. And he punches it into center field, and they're going to hold the runner at third. So Timmy Bulger goes opposite and keeps the train and the line moving. And that's going to bring up Vince. 7-5. And now the wind's starting to pick up just a hair as it does this time of the day in Chicagoland. As that sun starts to get lower and it cools off, we do tend to get some breezes between 4:30ish, 5 o'clock to about 7. And the warehouse is across the street. And now there's a timeout. They want to get a courtesy runner here, I think, for Timmy Bulger, but he's saying no. And that's not, so we've had a lot of confusion with that rule. And there's a sky-high pop-up. Tommy Baker is there, but in the inning, they put a fourth spot up. They cut the lead to 2. We'll head to the top of the 4th. So Vinny pops up to end the inning. So nice job there by the highlights. They took advantage of a couple of bobbles by the ballers to crawl back into the game, but Old School swinging it good here. If you're a highlight fan, you're looking for a goose egg so you can get back in there and do some more damage. And you know, Old School ballers did a good job. They came out, they jumped on the highlights. Sometimes when teams make it and they come back, they have a tendency sometimes to start feeling the wear and tear of a weekend, but looks like they caught their second wind here. It's going to be Tommy Baker leading off, and then it'll be the top of the lineup. Tommy hits a ground ball off of Sean Burke. He didn't quite get in front of it. He was trying to play it off his hip. Got a little bit of a skip bounce, and the ball caromed into right field for a leadoff single. So here's a pinch hitter, Keith Ellis, I believe. He's hitting for Teddy Lowry. It's Old School early in the game here. Going to the whip. There's a ground ball, and Tasso can't make the play. So first 2 hitters reach. So that's an example, like I said, I think sometimes later in these 50 and overs, guys start to lose a little side-to-side mobility. And it brings up Gabe Bridges. So Old School ballers now set up here to do a little damage. And Gabe has been bringing out all the swings this weekend. That pitch is a little deep. This is the part of the lineup where if you're a pitcher, there's no real easy outs, full count. Nobody out here as Gabe gets out of the box. I don't know if you thought that was strike 3, but umpire's telling him full count. And Gabe, a little tapper over to Tasso, and he short-armed the throw, and the ball actually hit second base and popped up into the air. And meanwhile, the lead runner does score on that, and the Ballers put up their 8th run. As Gino just kind of spiked the throw right onto the base. Still nobody out in this inning, and here's Renard Johnson. So the Ballers, unfazed by that 4 spot the highlights put up in the bottom of the 3rd, have come right out here in the 4th. Sean Burke couldn't make a play, and now there's a play. So highlights giving the Ballers extra outs, and they're a good enough offensive team where they don't really need any of your help, and they will take advantage of it. And Renard, one hopper to second, and backhand flip, not in time. 2-8 beats it, and now the bases are loaded. So the highlights having a little trouble here on defense. And here comes Skeet with the bases loaded. A big fly here, and the highlights would be in major trouble. And of course, you got Donnie Chapman, Tank, who airmailed one over to left fielder his last time up. And Skeet delivers a base hit. 1 run is in, 2 runs are in. Baker will cruise into 3rd. 2-run single for Skeet. And the Ballers, oops, wrong team. We'll get the scoreboard squared away here. Here's Donnie Chapman. So 5 and dime here, 10-5. And I don't know what happened there, but Donnie Chapman having a good time there. So runners on the corner, still nobody out here, as they've already put 3 on the board. So Chapman back in the box. And he rifles a base hit, 11th run scores. Skeet's going to jog into 3rd. Now the ball got past the center fielder. Skeet will score, and Chapman ends up on 3rd. So that is at least the 3rd error of the inning here for the highlights.
Tell live you don't get BTA none of them.
Taking a dig at Donnie, saying he doesn't hit the ball that hard for BTA. So here's Pito, somewhere elbows falling off his chair. And here's Pito now, 12-5. This is old school. Apparently they don't want free softball in Melrose. They don't want to go to the IF game because they have come out on fire in this ball game.
It don't matter. It don't matter. 1 out.
So Pito takes a called strike 3, I believe.
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
So Pito's out.
Hey, relax.
And it looks like there's a pinch hitter, and I think Pito just got thrown out of the game.
Hey, come on!
And Pito just shoved Skeet there. I don't know if that's really a smart thing to do. But it looks like we got a pinch hitter now.
Sorry, Nick, sorry. I apologize, man.
So 12-5 here. One out, little ground ball to Tasso, little fumble. He'll throw, and Sean Burke never saw it, and that's going to allow Chapman to score with the 13th run. So this has just been a nightmare inning. It was 7-5 coming in. They've put up a 5 spot, and they've pushed this out to a 7-run lead. And here's Ronnie Mack. And there's a strike. And Ronnie, little fly ball, center fielder does make the catch. It was awkward, but he held on. 2 outs in the inning now for Danny Edwards. So the old school ballers up 7. And you can see they're starting to anticipate that 3rd title in a row. And Danny took that inside pitch. He just let it hit him. And there's a little spinner. Shortstop is there. He makes the play. But in the inning, they throw up a fin. We halfway through. Old school ballers, 12. Highlights 5. So we'll see if the highlights can continue. They did show signs of life offensively last inning. Both teams are giving runs away with some sloppy softball defensively. So it's going to be Jeff, Gary, and Mike. 7, 8, 9 here for the highlights as they need to, again, get back in the game and maintain contact. And it looks like they've thrown Danny Edwards into the outfield. Sharif Walker's moved in to play shortstop. Of course, Sharif has played a lot of shortstop in his career, so it's not an unknown position for him. There's a ground ball off of Renard right to Sharif. Can't make the play as he went tumbling. Leadoff man on for the highlights, and here's Gary Paulson. So they call second base. The ball got away, and I think it either hit an old school ball or leaning over the fence. So they give him second base. We saw that early in the ball game when Travis Smith was coaching a bag, and he reached up, and so apparently that might have been Travis again. So they might put Travis behind the tall screen next. So here's Gary Paulson. And Gary pulls a line drive base hit. That's going to score a run, and they'll throw it in. So 12-13. They got 13 on the board. 13-6 now. Highlights get back in the game. I think I said it was 12, but it is 13. So 13-6 as Paulson delivers, and now they're going to put the courtesy in. Mike Sinise coming up. So despite the big baller lead, the highlights hanging in there, still putting up a fight here. Sinise goes opposite, big hop. Baker tries to recover, safe. That ball took a wicked hop. Baker had to throw his hands up to stop it from going over the top of him. Made a strong throw, but hustling all the way, Mike Sinise beats it out. So 13 to 6 here. Nobody out. And that pitch inside. So I think this is Anthony taking the swing here. And there he just hits a little soft pop-up. Edwards is there. And he'll throw a one-hopper into Sharif Walker for out number 1. So it's going to be Mack with Tasso on deck. Again, if you're the highlights, you got these 2 base runners. We're in the bottom of the 4th. And there, line drive caught by 2-8. That's going to end the inning. So nice catch there by Renard Johnson. He emphatically spikes the softball. And we head to the top of the 5th, 13 to 5. So inning started out great. They had first and second with the run in and nobody out. Can't score after that. And when you're trailing, those are the types of situations where you gotta cash in. Actually, Jerry Brown, there is. Pat Salamone is hanging out here with the highlight. Played on Mudville. So, thanks for asking, Jerry Brown. Now, of course, everybody will criticize me and say, why'd you bring it up? But it was in response to a fan question. And there's a little swing and a roller. Paulson read it all the way and throws him out. Nice play by Gary, as Keith does have that tendency to try to slap and run. Paulson, aware of that, was playing shallow, charged through, and got the first out of the inning. So here's Tommy Baker as Keith hit for Pee Wee Spicin. And there's a line drive into right field, base hit. So 7-run lead here. I believe we are playing mercy rule, so if Old School should somehow plate 3 and get a goose egg, they will three-peat. So top of the lineup, Teddy Lowry coming up with Gabe Bridges on deck. And there he tried to throw a fastball, gets past the shortstop. Threw an illegal pitch. Umpire did call it, but Teddy liked it and hit a low screamer through the shortstop. So it brings up Gabe Bridges. And this is a very dangerous part of the Old School baller lineup. Gabe really taking his time in the box. And that pitch, I don't know if he called that a strike or not. Did hold up 2-2, and Gabe right to Paulson. He steps on it. Long throw. Not in time. Good hustle by Bridges. It was a good play. So Paulson with first and second ran the third. Made an off-balance throw. If Bridges isn't left-handed, he's probably out.
It's even on camera.
That guy runs pretty good. That guy runs pretty fast.
Gary Paulson ran by and gave us a little color commentary on the play.
Yeah,
So that's going to bring up Renard Johnson. Still 13-6. 2 outs now. Though courtesy run for Gabe Bridges. And Keith was the last batted out. And there's a little cut. Nobody at third. And they got runners on the corner. Renard Johnson was jockeying. Umpire does give time. And that's a good example, kids. You always got to make sure the umpire gives you time. A lot of guys will yell it, but the way Renard was dancing, and then Keith started dancing over here, the umpire doesn't have to give you time. And it brings up Skeet, 14-6. And there he tried to throw a low fastball. And Gino is trying, and there he slashes it up the middle. Tasso a bobble, the 15th run scores. And now it's 15-6. Again, 2 outs here, brings up Tank.
Watch yourself, Jeff.
So Donnie Chapman here, base hit had put him up by 10.
What'd you say, Will?
And Donnie certainly, and there he tries to go down the line. I won't turn the camera because would have freaked out the lens. So the ballers in this game have been all business. They've had a tendency to maybe start a little slower in the first couple innings, but I believe they went dry. Well, they did score in the first, so they've been off to the races. Little chopper. So Gino handles it 15-6 as we head to the bottom of the 5th.
Let's hit!
So the highlights, the mind is willing, but I don't know if the bodies are. And we'll see if they can dig deep and get back into the game.
Hey, couple of hits chases it. Let's go.
I think this is really the big inning here. If you're the highlights, you're down 9, but they really need to put up a crooked number here because it doesn't look like the ballers are going to slow down. So it looks like they re-entered Pee Wee at third. So they're just making sure that after those changes, well, there's not much you can do at this point. Highlights have been playing here since 10. They've played a few ball games. It's just rough. And there's a swing. That ball's going to be way out of play. So it's tough because what's going through your mind here if you're the highlights is, you're not only now down 9, but you start thinking about the fact that you got to win another game after this. And, the old school ballers have an advantage. They got so many bodies and people on the benches that, if they got somebody who's fatigued, they can bring them in. So here's Tasso, little ground ball the other way. Baker sits on it, throws to first, and that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th. Top of the lineup now, Chicken with Jeff on deck. And Chicken, a little spinner foul. And they are really squeezing him. And there's a little soft pop-up, and Sharif takes a few steps back, jumps up, and makes the catch for out number 2. And that brings up Jeff. So for those of you who tuned in over the weekend, we thank you for that. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll have some post-tournament coverage if this score holds. And we'll show you the MVP. And again, if you're a 14-inch co-ed mush team, full count there. We do have that coming up at the end of September. I believe they're going to play that in one day on a Saturday. So there's a little pop-up, and they let it drop for strike 3. So we're going to head to the top of the 6th, 15-6. Old School Ballers. So we'll see if they can push a run or two across and get to the mercy number. Of course, the Highlights won this tournament a few years ago. And Old School, you can't say they backed in. They've had to play the Highlights twice, and they had to play McGaffers. McGaffers had a rough weekend. They lost a 10-9 game yesterday to the Old School Ballers, and then they lost their first game today, and they got bounced out of the tournament. So, and they had a pretty good team out there, but that's why we play the games. So Sharif Walker going to lead off here. And I believe he's hitting in Pito's spot. And Sharif, a little line drive right to the Gino Grande. Then he was going to start the throw around by going to Sean Burke and almost threw it away. So here's Truvon Thomas. So we are in the top of the 5th inning, or I don't think they necessarily changed the inning up there. I don't know if we're in the 5th or the 6th. And there's a sky-high pop-up, and that's going to be fouled, not by much. Wes says you couldn't see it. You're looking in the sun. Just call it fair, but looked like it was fouled from where I was standing. So that'll go as a strikeout. And here comes Ron Mack. So we are, in fact, in the 6th inning. They've corrected the scoreboard. And we'll see if the Ballers got a little 2-out magic here. And if they can get to the 10 mark. And there's a line drive the other way, and Mack gets his 3rd hit of the ball game. And he's an MVP contender, I would think. May have to put Wes on the spot and ask him who the MVP he thinks. Wes says he doesn't care. That's how you make enemies, Wes. Oh, okay. Says he can't tell me. Write it down and give it to me. I won't look at it till after it's announced. Yeah, he's been terrific. Not only hitting the ball, but playing a pretty darn good first base. And playing first base, here's John Reese, and he whistles a hit. And now he's going to come, a little delay hesitation. And oh, that was a little weird footwork. You didn't see it on the camera. I think he actually may have been out there. So here's Pee Wee. Again, 2 outs here. Pee-wee, a little ground ball off the pitcher. Tasso can't make a recovery play on it, and they have reached that 10-run mark. All of this coming with 2 outs brings up Tommy Baker. Well, and Nathaniel, it's not a slam on 50 and over infielders, but some of the stuff that gets thrown over there ain't pretty. So Baker flies out, do or die, bottom of the 6th. For the highlights, they need 1 for the game to continue. And we'll see the highlights can dig deep and at least try to play 7 in this championship game. And there's my guy Pat Salamone right there, gray hat, t-shirts. Pat, longtime Burke Beverage employee. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So it's been old school ballers since this tournament kicked off. They were the favorites coming in. They're playing like it all weekend. And they've been unfazed by either heat or their opponent. So it's going to be Sean Burke, Tony, and Timmy. 3, 4, 5 here. And Sean Burke, he's had a nice weekend. He hits that pass, Danny Edwards, and this is going to be a home run. We will play 7 in this championship game. So in the bottom of the 6th, leadoff home run takes him off the mercy watch. And Sean Burke been having a tremendous weekend. So here's Tony, Timmy on deck. And there's a line drive base hit. So well done here as the highlights not giving up, showing a little fight. Rich, I don't know what's going on with you, but I don't think I've heard more negativity out of one guy ever. And you said you were out 2 weeks ago, but yet you keep coming on the stream. So there's a nice twist. Walker over to Skeet, over to Mack, double play. So now 2 outs here in the 6th, and there's a base hit. So after the double play ball, they get another base hit there. So Vince gets a hit. It looks like this is another. Looks like this might be a pinch hitter here. And there's a little ground ball. Sharif Walker, he'll go the short way. So we're going to head to the top of the 7th, 16-7. It's the old school ballers, 3 defensive outs away from their 3rd straight men's 50 and over national championship tournament. You can see Timmy Bulger feeling the wear and tear as he's limping over. He's been coaching first base in this game. And they're going to put somebody behind the plate to replace Timmy. So Barzowski going to go in and catch here. And the ballers can taste it now. So I can't wait if this score holds to see what kind of new gear Kelly Patton is going to create for them. So top of the lineup, Teddy Lowry. We'll see if they have any pinch hitters. Otherwise, it'll be Gabe Bridges and Renard Johnson. And there's a little ground ball. Teddy not even running. So now the sun is starting to set.
Hey, Teddy, next time run that out, man.
And Wes is giving him the business. So here's Gabe Bridges.
Don't run on out. Don't worry about next year.
And Wes is telling him, if you don't want to run it out, don't worry about next year. And there's a base hit by Bridges. He keeps hitting. As Gabe throws yet another hit out. And I got to tell you, I've seen Gabe Bridges for a long time, and this has been some of the best hitting that I've seen him have in a couple of years. Because a lot of his hits would be hits, not just because it's 50 and over. He has just hit everything hard. And Renard tries to cut, and he gets it just over the shortstop as they put two more runners on here. So one out here, top of the seventh, 16-7. Thank you, Nathaniel. I appreciate that. Well, thanks for the kind words, Nathaniel, but you know when we're running the tournament, you got to keep that thing charged. So here's Charles Atkins. And that pitch a little deep. If I'm not mistaken, Charles played on that line drive team that won the Class A glove a couple of years ago, playing short center. Now the bases are loaded, brings up Donnie Chapman. So off 16-7, the baller's not done, apparently swinging the bats this weekend. And Donnie just tries to go deep, but the left fielder catches it. Another run will score. Baker hustles in. So 17-7 here. Old school ballers. Gonna three-peat. And that's a hard thing to do. They've had a pretty solid, consistent group the last 3 years. There have been some changes to it, but so Sharif sweeps it in the right base hit. Another run will score. 18-7. And the baller's not showing any signs of calling the dogs off. So Sharif Walker sweeps a hit, and here's Trevane Thomas.
I'll be there.
And there's a sky-high fly ball. Left fielder is there, and that'll end the inning. So we head to the bottom of the seventh. Highlights down 11. And the old school ballers, 3 outs away from a little history. They'll be the first team to three-peat.
Hey, Jeff, how you feeling?
That's what I heard, Chris.
He wants to know where the beer's at.
I heard high-wide playoffs are finishing up out there. And high-wide, right around the north-south, they played 2 tremendous games with the 45s. And I thought they were really going to take off and have a terrific back half of the season, and they just couldn't seem to put it together after that tournament. So Barzowski came in for Timmy Bulger leading off.
Just hit the ball to right field. I want to see Teddy try to run. His hamstrings are so tight he can't. He's Thank you.
And Barzowski draws the leadoff walk here. Looks like Pat Salamone has grabbed the bat. And he's going to go up there, take a swing. Think he's hitting for Vince. And there's a little flare, and Ron Mack catches it and steps on the bag. A little nifty footwork there. He just tippy-toed over, and as he was catching it, just gently tapped the bag with a foot. And the lights have come on here. And there's a this'll do it. Ballers three-peat. As they make the play, they led from start to finish. Highlights, they did close to 7-5 at one point, but the Ballers were relentless this entire weekend. They win their third straight 50 and over. Pat Caputo going to come on out. We will take a picture of the highlights. And, of course, we'll have a picture of the old school Ballers and the trophy. And the Ballers will be getting their national championship T-shirts. And just a tremendous, tremendous job. Team was well run. Kelly Patton, Tony Pearson doing a great job. And we'll see if we can get Kelly to come grab the T-shirts. So great job here as the Ballers celebrating. And they had a lot of contributors, no doubt, all weekend. And you can tell they had a lot of people out. They had a full boat roster. Can you go to home plate so we can get a picture? So, old school Ballers took care of their business for sure. And we'll let them get through the handshake line here. And just waiting for the traffic to clear here. It's always a little chaotic after a tournament. You want to grab the championship shirts? Can leave the MVP here. I'll grab the MVP. But feel free to have the boys put them on if they want. So you can see here, we're taking the picture. Patty's going to say a few words, congratulate them, give them their payout. So great job by the highlights. We'll get a picture up a little bit later. Me and Jerry will be doing a wrap-up show next week. So whatever's Patty Caputo's telling them, they're all laughing. Mike Choate taking the pictures for the SSA.
Now we got all the Hamilton guys. We got Caputo out of it.
Patty's going to grab a picture or two as well. And now we're going to get the Ballers in there. So they're going through the shirts.
Come on, Nick. I need a picture.
Kelly's already got the shirts, Pat. So the Ballers, you might need a wide-angle lens for this picture.
Yeah.
And we'll grab the MVP and Kelly Patton after this, and we'll grab an interview.
Who they say MVP? Magman?
Well, we don't know yet.
I think first baseman.
So we'll eavesdrop a little bit here. Hear what Pat's got to tell the guys. So I think Pat's just wanting to confirm.
Guys, congratulations. 3 in a row. Beautiful. Great job. And no losses. 3 years. Okay. Thanks for coming out. Great job. Where's Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Right hand. MVP. All right, hold on. I wasn't going to announce the MVP yet, but since we're not, how do you know you're the MVP?
They just called me up.
I don't know how they know.
I saw
Listen, really, congratulations. Great job. Thanks for coming out. And this year's MVP, 50 and over national champion.
Ronnie Mack. So I'm going to back out so they can.
Kelly right there.
Let us take a picture first.
So we'll back out so they can all grab their pictures. Patty will take a picture. We'll talk a little bit with Ronnie and Kelly Patton in a minute so you can see, as usual, a lot of people involved and they are fired up. So Washington Park wins another national championship, 3rd in a row. They haven't lost in the last 3 years out here, and they're doing a great job. And looks like they might be popping a little champagne in a little bit. So great job, and just waiting for the pictures to be done. Pat, get a separate picture with Ronnie Mack. All right, Kelly. I've been promising to interview you all week. So here we are, Kelly Patton, the manager of the Old School Ballers. How's it feel? Three-peat.
It's been a long haul, Gio. It's been a long haul, man. We put the team in Sundays to get ready for this point, and playing 3 games every Sunday against these young guys.
Champagne going.
Playing 3 games against the young guys, the high wires, the BTAs, and the Pharaohs. It kind of prepared us for this moment. We knew this three-peat was going. It was going to be hard. It was going to be hard.
Well, it's always tough when you're coming in with the target on your back, but you guys were all business all weekend.
Yeah. I mean, the guys was focused the whole winter was defending the championship. So we knew three-peat is hard to accomplish, but I mean, we got it done. There you
go, Kelly Patton. Kelly, thank you. I'm going to try to get Ronnie over here. I don't know where he went.
Hey, Justin, some you would never win.
There's Ron Mack, your MVP. So, Ron, you're having a pretty good year. Your son graduated, got his degree. You're out here, three-peat. How's life treating you right now?
Life is beautiful right now. Having a good time. You know what I mean? Father and son playing. You know, it's a good opportunity for me to play with my son and against him. You know, so we're having fun. That's what it's all about.
So, what was it like all weekend? You guys were very focused. You guys were all business, and coaches, other players.
Hey, it was all about the team. Everybody played their game, played their roles, and that's what it took for us to win this game. Everybody together.
Ron Mack, a man of few words, but big actions this weekend.
Don't forget he played with BTA.
Said he played for BTA. He ain't wearing the hat though.
BTA player right there.
There you go. So great job, Tony.
Yes, sir.
So you and Kelly did a great job this weekend.
We did an awesome job. Kelly, I mean, he did a great job. This team is just an awesome team. We put this team together, a mixture of just great players from back in the day, and we just meshed together. And you got a great group of guys. You got a great coaching staff. Kelly, Tank, Charlie. I mean, it's a great team. I mean, I'm proud to be a part of it.
Oh, I can't wait for your tournament in Country Club Hills next year.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're coming back in Country Club Hills. We're going to do another one. We're going to keep it going. Just say congratulations. 3 years straight and no losses. That's a great team, okay? Old school ballers.
That's hard to do. That's hard to do. No doubt about it. Gabe, come over here. Jeez, dude, you look like you were 20 years younger. You were bringing all the swings out of the golf bag.
Gio, I slept well last night, and I went home, and I thought about. I had a terrible game yesterday. Real terrible, but these are good group of guys, mixed up of young guns and still team. So we're looking to come back and four-peat next year.
It's hard to do, but
We're gonna be shooting for it.
well, I tell you, you guys were focused. You were on point all weekend, and got off to a couple of slow starts in games. But the back half of these games, you guys got it rolling, and you guys were all business in this championship game.
Yeah, well, we are 50, so it take us a little to warm these engines up. So, but once we get rolling, we're tough.
Go, Gabe Bridges had a tremendous year or tournament. So that's going to wrap up our coverage. We'll be doing post-tournament wrap-up, and great job by the Ballers. 3 years in a row they've won this event, have not lost a game. So that's a remarkable run, especially when you consider 50 and over. And, all of us that are getting older, year to year, you never know. But they were tremendous. So we hope you enjoyed the coverage. And we will be talking to all of you soon as they continue to pass out those national championship shirts. And it's not the first one that they've received. So we're going to be clicking off here. And here's Travis. He was coaching along with Wes on the bases. Now, if he would just stay out of the way on a couple of throws, they might have scored 5 more. Yeah. So, that's right. So we're going to click off. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you real soon.